So I've always been frustrated and have never been able to make sense out of how the US oil companies, how they have total control over us, and how they've not only been contributing to climate change and destroying other aspects of our natural world, but they have made it so we're totally dependent on them for almost everything we do just to survive. From driving any motor vehicles, operating any machinery that's powered by gas, heating our homes, electricity generation, and all of this stuff. And all the plastic too. Just take a look at all the plastic we use. That's made from oil too. And it's just really drives me nuts about how MAGA doesn't seem to have a problem with that. They praise our narcissist dictator who promotes the oil industry as they continue to screw us over. So last year, Trump declared a national energy emergency. So I believe we're in a national energy emergency for this reason that I just explained. We're dependent on oil for everything we do, and it's super expensive. Buying gas, buying fuel oil, electricity, all of this. We're dependent on the oil industry for everything. And it's not self-reliant for those of us who want to be dependent on ourselves and not our communist government and the corporations they're in cahoots with. But Trump instead, this idiot, just declared a national energy emergency, not because we're too dependent on oil, but because he just wants a justification to give the oil industry a bunch of more free handouts and bailouts to the evil elites that run these corporations in the oil industry, just to promote his drill baby drill agenda. That's what it's about. And he's been taking all these actions. He opened up the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, a pristine wilderness in Alaska last year, for development for oil drilling. And it's going to benefit the rich elites that run these oil companies, and those are the only people who are going to benefit from it. They'll maximize their profits while we get screwed from it. And he doesn't care about the natural world or anyone else. He just cares about his corporate buddies making money. And the oil industry, they already get like $31 billion a year and free subsidies from the government, from all these different government programs. But now Trump, he's increasing it by $4 billion a year for the next 10 years. So he's just ramped up more subsidies for these bastards. And at the same time, he eliminated a bunch of subsidies for like wind and solar. And then he stated that all these renewable energy sources are unreliable. And all these stupid MAGA Republicans buy into this crap he says. They believe this crap he says. Then this moron also one time said that wind turbines cause cancer. I mean, and people still worship him. And then what he did is now he's relicensed a bunch of old nuclear power plants to get restarted up. And he's given them a bunch of handouts, bailouts, and loans to start operating again also. I mean, so here's the thing. Energy coming from big oil or from nuclear power plants is the exact opposite of energy independence, even if it's made right here in America. So here's the deal. When we're dependent on every aspect of our lives of oil that needs to be drilled, refined, transported by all this exorbitantly high price equipment that these elites own, that run these corporations, when we're dependent on them to survive, that's not being energy independent, regardless of if it's done here in America or not. Because they're maximizing profits off of us while we're paying the price for it, and they continue to profit. That's what it is. There's nothing energy independent about that. And then you got these nuclear power plants starting up again. I mean, that's one of the worst possible solutions anyone could come up with for climate change. just because it's carbon free, that doesn't make it great. I mean, here's the deal. So it's still a non-renewable energy source. So the fuel to power these nuclear plants, these nuclear reactors, comes from uranium, which still needs to be mined with expensive equipment, transported and used in these nuclear reactors, which are super expensive to build and require a lot of resources and technology put together, and they're not even safe. I mean, so it's just another non-renewable resource that we as individuals can't produce ourselves. Like if we were to have more solar panels on our rooftops. I mean, at least then we still have to need resources and need to pay the installment costs to get them put in, them upfront costs, but at least once we have them, we do have self-sufficiency and some energy for a while. Or if you heat your home with wood, you save money on and your dependence on needing fuel oil to heat, because you just have a wood stove and you can cut your own wood with renewable resources. Whereas with nuclear and oil, we're totally dependent on the corporate elites who are in power to provide us these energy sources and fuels at whatever price they choose to charge us. And they can mess up our natural world and do whatever they want in the process, and then continue to maximize profits off of us. And then with the nuclear reactors, nuclear meltdowns happen and are catastrophic, and you have nuclear waste that can leak out radiation nearby into communities where these people live, and that ends up giving them cancer. Even in the years to come, decades later, they can get cancer from exposure to radiation. Then you look like Fukushima, Chernobyl. There's places where nuclear disasters have happened where they're still uninhabitable to live at. That's how dangerous this nuclear power scheme is. It's very catastrophic for the planet when something goes wrong, even if it is carbon free. But it's just a big scam. And also and nuclear energy, it's also the most expensive electricity generation source in the US. When you combine all the costs for starting these nuclear reactors, getting them built, and all these upfront costs, it's expensive way to produce electricity. But somehow Trump still promotes it, being all these evil elites and these big corporations like Amazon and Microsoft and the big tech industry. They will profit from it because these nuclear reactors will generate all this power to power all these new data centers for all this AI they promote. So they can use AI to surveil us more, for more censorship, and to control us, and then take a bunch of our jobs. So that's what it's going for. And it's just a big scam. So, I mean, and then you look back at big oil. The US produces more oil than we use. But because our refineries are designed poorly and they suck, we can't refine and process the oil that we drill in this country, which is more heavy crude oil, to be turned into gasoline to be used in America. So we just export that all. We sell it to other countries, and then all the oil we use in like our cars as a fuel, we have to import lighter crude oil from other regions and other countries where the oil is lighter, where our refineries here in America can process it. So opening up all this new drilling more oil in the US is not helping us at all, because it all gets exported. We still have to get our oil imported and pay ridiculously high prices for it, while these rich bastards that run the oil companies here can just sell the oil to other countries and they can make a bunch of profit from it at our expense. Nothing about that drill baby drill agenda is America first, and it does not make us energy independent. I mean, maybe we should just quit drilling for oil altogether in the US if it's not benefiting the American economy at all, and if it's just harming our natural world and making people sick. when drilling and fracking is done and contaminants leak out in the air and water in these communities and makes people sick. I think maybe we should just stop drilling for oil altogether if we can't come up with a better plan for this. I mean, it's not America first. We're not benefiting from it. It's just a big scam. I mean, and then they've been saying, oh, the gas prices are so high right now because the Strait of Hormuz is shut down and this war in Iran, that's why the gas prices are so high. So here's the deal. Most of our oil is imported from Canada, Mexico, and a lot of these other countries that aren't in the Middle East. So this Iran war has nothing to do with a lot of the vast majority of the oil we get imported. So it's basically just another excuse for the elites and the corporations like Exxon, Mobil, us consumers pay for economically and through contaminated air, water, and somehow all these Republican Trump supporters, they don't seem to have a problem with that. They basically think it makes them patriots to pay high gas prices and to support corporate greed and to be totally dependent on them, on the oil industry. I mean, this is how stupid they are. It's like they've accepted that the world is dependent on oil. This stupid American establishment as a whole has just accepted it. And they're the ones who go around spreading this misinformation saying, we'll never be able to stop using oil. We need oil for everything that we do. There's never going to be an alternative, renewable or better way of doing it. It's just the way it is. So they basically feel that, oh, it's totally fine. It's patriotic to support these bastards that run the oil companies. They're rich and they're white, so let's just keep supporting them. It's the American ideology. And it's like they worship Trump as their earthly patriotic savior. And then they also don't have a problem with all the elites in the oil industry who they must think are saints, who are like Trump's faithful disciples. All these corporate buddies of his, they're like his faithful disciples. And MAGA won't say anything against it. This is how stupid they are. This is how dumb and vulnerable this country is. I mean, if you're mad at big oil and you're like me and you're just angry at all of this and all this corporate greed and corruption, I mean, it sucks when you have to support it and pay the prices for gas just to drive somewhere. And that's something we really can't avoid. It's hard to do, but what you can do is if you're an investor who has stocks in your investment portfolio, the best thing you could possibly do is just never buy stock in these evil corporations that pollute and screw us over. Just never include them in your stock portfolio. And if you do currently own stock in any of these oil companies, you should sell all that stock immediately. If a bunch of us who are angry at the oil industry, and if it was a large percentage of us in this country that own stock in the oil companies and were angry about it and just suddenly decided to sell all the stock we have in like Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, and all these pricks, that'd be great. That'd be the best thing that could happen. They'd lose a bunch of shareholders and the stock prices would plummet. That's what we need to happen. That would be true capitalism at its best, being used like fascism. That'd be the best possible thing you could do. But a lot of us would have to do it. A lot of us just need to say enough is enough, and we're not going to invest in corporate corruption. And that's the best thing we could do. I mean, we're going to have to do things like this, even if we suffer financially and our stock portfolios don't do the best for a while because of it. If we want to fight this corporate greed and government corruption, and if we want to fight for environmental and economic justice and for renewable energy, if we want change, we have to make steps forward that are going to fight these corporations and the government corruption that promotes it. Selling these stocks of these evil corporations, that are in your portfolio and not investing in them ever again, that's something that we can all do. That's something we do have control over. So just remember that. Have a good day.